Okay, today we're going to be talking about The Bear and the Wildcat, written by Kazumi Yumoto and illustrated by Kamako Sakai. The Bear and the Wildcat. One morning, Bear was crying. His best friend, a little bird, was dead. Bear cut a tree from the forest and made a little box. He stained it with berry juice and lined it with petals. Then he gently laid his friend inside. The little bird looked as if he was only sleeping. His downy feathers were the color of coral, and his tiny black beak gleamed like onyx. Bear thought back to the morning before. "Little bird," he had said, "today it is this morning, isn't it? Yesterday and the day before yesterday it was this morning too. Isn't that strange? Morning will come again tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, but it will still be this morning. It's always this morning, and we're always together, aren't we?" The little bird had cocked his head and said, "Yes, Bear, but you know what? More than yesterday morning or tomorrow morning, I like this morning best of all." And now he was gone. "Yesterday I had no idea that today you would be dead," Bear cried. "If only I could go back to yesterday morning. I wouldn't need anything else in the world." Big tears rolled down his face. After that, Bear took the box with him wherever he went. All the animals he met said, "What a beautiful box! What's inside?" But when he showed them, they frowned and fell silent. They always said, "He'll never come back to life, Bear. It may be hard, but you have got to forget about him." Bear went home and locked the door. Day and night he sat in the dark, shut up in his room. Sometimes sleep took hold of him. He would doze off, still sitting in his chair. Then one day, Bear opened the window and found the sun shining. The breeze was scented with grass. He went outside and looked up at the sky and the clouds sailing by as if seeing them for the first time. Bear began to walk. He walked through the forest and along the riverbank. The grass was a rich green and the water glistened. He came upon a strange wildcat napping on the bank. On the grass beside him lay a tattered knapsack and an odd-shaped box. Bear had to see what was inside. He began, but it sounded like a croak because he had not spoken for so long. The wildcat opened one eye and said, "Do you want something?" "I'd like to see what's in your box," Bear said, his voice catching. The wildcat opened both eyes. All right," he said, "I'll show you. As long as you show me what's inside the pretty box of yours." Bear hesitated, but then he opened it. The little bird lay peacefully on the bed of fragrant petals. The wildcat looked at him for a long time, then he raised his head. "This little bird must have been a very special friend of yours," he said. "You must miss him a lot." Bear looked up in surprise. No one had ever said that before. The wildcat opened his box. Inside was a violin. He took it out and said, "Let me play a song for you and your little friend." Bear closed his eyes and listened to the wildcat play. Memories came flooding back. Once a weasel had attacked the little bird. Bear had stayed up night after night to nurse him. The little bird never complained, but he was sad and embarrassed because the weasel had pulled out all his tail feathers. Quietly, the violin played on. Bear had collected pretty leaves for his friend and tied them on his tail. It made the little bird very happy. Bear could still see him strutting in circles trying to see the bright leaves behind him. The memory made Bear smile. Bear thought back over the special times together. He remembered how the tiny black beak had tickled when the bird pecked Bear's forehead to wake him each morning. How the little bird always beat him at counting berries, no matter how fast Bear counted. How they bathed together on sunny days at the spring in the forest. The little bird always complained when Bear splashed. He remembered the smell of the bird's wet feathers after the bath. He remembered the times they fought and how they always made up again. Bear remembered everything. the middle of the forest was a clearing where the sun shone, and the two had often played. This was where Bear buried his friend. "I won't be sad anymore," he said, "because we'll always be friends, my little bird and I." The Wildcat found a pretty stone, about the size of the little bird. He placed it on top, and he and the bear decorated the spot with flowers. The Wildcat looked up at the sky. "I guess it's time to go," he said. "Where are you going?" Bear asked. "Wherever I feel like," the Wildcat answered as he picked up his violin case. "I travel from one town to the next, playing my violin. That's my job. Do you want to come?" "Me? Go with you?" Bear had never left home in his life. He couldn't play the violin, yet he liked the idea of visiting unknown places. "Come with me, Bear," the Wildcat said, and from his tattered knapsack he took a tambourine. "Here, try playing this." Bear tapped it gently. It made a lovely sound, like drops of water falling from leaves in the forest after rain. Baran, 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 baran. But what an old tambourine! It was dirty and brown and covered with paw prints. Who used to play it, Bear wondered. Had the Wildcat once had a best friend too? He wanted to ask, but instead he said, "I'll try it. Maybe I can even learn to dance and play at the same time." They have been together ever since. The Bear and Wildcat band is very popular wherever it goes. They are still touring the world, so who knows? Maybe one day they'll come to your town. And now for a fun little excerpt from my book, Bedtime for Einstein, helping your little genius to think big, dream big, and laugh big at the best time of day. Don't mock. None a nose that makes avalanches miss you every time. Brass fingerprint inventions. Cold-proof layer of fat. Fur that changes smells every time you touch it. Digitoots love the cold. They take ice baths, play cops and robbers under icebergs, and surf on slushy waves. They even like the cold more than they like watching 5D movies. Because Digitoots are big red guys living on a snow planet, they stand out a little. Thus, they meet their fair share of bullies, so they invented brass fingerprints. Though no one can see you are wearing brass fingerprints as they are invisible, they feel just like brass knuckles when they connect with your face. People usually only tease the big red fellas once. Connection conversations. Would you rather go hiking or snowshoeing? Who in your family is most likely to turn a snowman into a headless snowman? Would you like a cold-proof fat layer that also cools you in the summer? Who in your family is most likely to die from an avalanche? You.